For centuries, Rome sold itself as eternal, an empire of order in a chaotic world, of stone roads that bound continents together, of laws so strong they still shape our lives today. Roman engineers mastered concrete, arches, and aqueducts so advanced that some are still standing nearly 2,000 years later. Rome wanted to be remembered as flawless, but history is never that clean. Behind the marble temples and triumphal arches lies a quieter story, one of mistakes, disasters, and lost knowledge. Events so embarrassing, so dangerous to Rome's image of perfection, that they were quietly buried, rewritten, or never recorded at all. Because empires don't like to remember failure. Today, we're uncovering what the Roman Empire tried to erase from history. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden side of ancient civilizations, make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss what we uncover next. Fidenae, the stadium that became a mass grave. In the year 27 CE, Rome was restless. Emperor Tiberius had reduced the number of public games, fearing unrest and excessive spending. But the games were more than entertainment. They were political tools. They kept the population distracted, loyal, and calm. Without them, tension grew. Sensing opportunity, a freedman named Attilius decided to profit from the people's hunger for spectacle. Just outside Rome, in the town of Fidenae, he rushed to build a massive amphitheater. Speed mattered more than safety. According to the historian Tacitus, the structure was built cheaply, with weak wooden supports and an unstable foundation. No official inspections. No proper engineering oversight. Just a gamble that nothing would go wrong. On opening day, the gamble failed. Ancient sources describe tens of thousands of spectators packed tightly into the stands. As the crowd cheered, the weight overwhelmed the structure. Without warning, the amphitheater collapsed. Entire sections fell inward, crushing people beneath them. Other parts collapsed outward, spilling bodies into the surrounding streets. Survivors clawed through debris, calling out names, pulling the wounded from the wreckage. The historian Suetonius estimates that up to 20,000 people died. It was one of the deadliest structural failures in Roman history. The response was swift, but quiet. The Senate passed new regulations requiring amphitheaters to be built only on solid ground and inspected by officials. Attilius was exiled, his reputation destroyed. There was no monument, no public memorial. Rome buried the dead, and the mistake, with equal efficiency. The collapsed well, Rome's forgotten engineering trial. Not all Roman failures ended in screams and blood. Some were silent, slow, and deeply human. In Roman Britain, near modern-day Cambridgeshire, a growing settlement needed a reliable water supply. Roman engineers, famous for their aqueducts and plumbing, set out to dig a well. They dug deeper and deeper, more than 8 meters into the ground. But they misunderstood the land. The local clay soil was unstable. As the well neared completion, the walls collapsed inward, filling the shaft with mud and debris. The entire project was lost. Archaeologists later found something haunting inside the collapse: a wooden ladder, preserved in the mud. It had been abandoned instantly, frozen in time, never retrieved. This wasn't incompetence, it was trial and error. But Rome never documented the failure. There were no reports, no lessons shared across the empire. Instead, the builders simply moved about 20 meters away and started again, this time digging a shallower well and reinforcing it with timber. That one worked. The failed well was buried and forgotten, becoming invisible beneath the soil. Rome's reputation for engineering perfection survived, not because it never failed, but because it never recorded those failures. The Antikythera Mechanism, knowledge that drowned. Some Roman-era failures didn't destroy structures. They destroyed the future. Around 70 BCE, a merchant ship sailed through the Mediterranean carrying luxury goods, statues, glassware, jewelry, and something no one realized was priceless. Caught in a storm, the ship sank near the Greek island of Antikythera. When divers discovered the wreck in 1900, they recovered corroded bronze fragments, initially dismissed as scrap. Only decades later did researchers realize what they were looking at. The fragments were part of an analog computer. The Antikythera mechanism used more than 30 precisely cut bronze gears to track astronomical cycles. It could predict eclipses, model the movements of planets, and map the passage of time itself. Nothing this complex would exist again until medieval clockwork, over 1,000 years later. This wasn't primitive experimentation. It was advanced science. So why didn't Rome experience a technological revolution? Because the knowledge wasn't institutionalized. It wasn't mass-produced. It wasn't written down in manuals. When the ship sank, the future sank with it. The Antikythera mechanism reveals a terrifying truth. Roman knowledge was fragile. One storm, one wreck, one lost craftsman, and entire branches of science could disappear forever. The Roman dodecahedron, the object Rome refused to explain. Some Roman secrets survive physically, but not intellectually. Across the northwestern provinces of the empire, archaeologists have discovered more than 100 Roman dodecahedrons. They're small, hollow bronze objects with 12 faces, each pierced by a hole of a different size. Knobs sit at every corner. They are meticulously crafted and completely undocumented. Roman writers described everything, from siege engines to sewer systems, but never mentioned these objects. No names, no diagrams, no instructions. Theories abound. Measuring tools, military devices, calendars, religious artifacts, but none fully explain their design, lack of standardization, or limited geographic spread. One compelling explanation is that they were linked to local ritual practices, tolerated in the provinces, but later suppressed as Rome centralized power and Christianity spread. If so, these objects may have been intentionally erased from the written record. What remains is a mute artifact, a tool stripped of context by history itself. The consequence. A stadium collapse that killed thousands. An engineering failure buried underground. A machine centuries ahead of its time lost to the sea. A mysterious object erased from the written record. These aren't coincidences. They reveal how Rome managed its image. Failures were corrected, hidden, or forgotten. Knowledge survived only as long as it was useful, repeatable, and politically safe. Rome wasn't flawless, it was selective. And the earth still holds the stories Rome didn't want remembered. When we look at Roman ruins today, we see power, order, and genius. But beneath that surface lie forgotten disasters and lost knowledge. The massacre at Fidenae, the buried engineering mistakes of Britain, the drowned brilliance of the Antikythera mechanism, and the silent mystery of the dodecahedrons. Rome's greatness wasn't built on perfection. It was built on mistakes it refused to preserve. Which of these stories shocked you the most? And what other secrets do you think the Roman Empire buried beneath its stone and propaganda? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.